everybody! This is the Brainsmasher! Here to tell you about my collection update. Thanks for joining me. Let me pick this off. Good for battle, but not good for YouTubing, I guess. Got a collection update for you and a celebration of me reaching 1,500 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you for subscribing, and if you're watching and you haven't, you might want to do it because you're going to miss out on something very important if you don't subscribe to my channel down below. It's just a little click. Please do it. So, just got a bunch of stuff in, and I want to tell you about a giveaway that I want to do to celebrate 1,500 subscribers. I'm about 6 away from that hallmark here in a day or two. I'm sure I'll reach 1,500. Of course, I'll get 6 subscribers in a day. Anyways, so I will be talking about what I'm going to be giving away to you, maybe, at the end of the video. So you're going to have to suffer through one of my videos in order to find out how to enter the giveaway. While we're talking, how about we listen to Oten's Sad Realm of the Stars. This album is so fucking good. It's kind of well known in the underground as kind of a cult classic. However, its praises cannot be sung too much. It's a Norwegian band, kind of following in the footsteps of limbic art in a way. Highly symphonic, well orchestrated. Drumming is fucking awesome. Drummer from Funeral, who in this band goes by the name of Eek. Cheesy fucking artwork. I love this booklet. Each one of the members has on just the grimmest of corpse paint until you get to the end and you've just got Eek there with no corpse paint. Anyway, killer fucking album of 90s black metal. I really love this kind of stuff, as you well know. So I've got it in a lot of things that are kind of old. And in fact, I got a couple of purchases yesterday I made that I wish I had in my hand right now that I'm really stoked to talk about. But we got quite a few things in to talk about anyways. But yeah, so I haven't really been in the mood for newer releases, and I feel like I haven't really been keeping up on new releases. I don't know if it's just me or if there just isn't really much coming out that's all that great. Tell me what you've been listening to, I suppose. I feel like I probably know a lot of what's going to be on people's year-end lists, but nothing's really sticking out a whole lot at me unless it's something I've already talked about. And one of the albums actually I'm going to talk about is a new release that's great. However, old school death metal has been really my thing lately, and that brings us to Convulse's World Without God. I had definitely heard this album, and I probably had MP3s of it for the longest time on my computer and just listened to it maybe every once in a while. It didn't really do a whole lot for me, but I decided finally to pick up a copy of this just because it's pretty much considered a death metal classic, and since I've been listening to stuff like Demigod and Rippy Kuolu, I figured it was time I finally pick up a copy of this. It took a really long time for this to be reissued on CD. It came out originally in 1991, but it took, I think it wasn't reissued on CD at least until 2002, I think is when this came out. Relapse did this nice reissue. Relapse is one of those labels, I feel like they really do a nice job on their reissues. They don't try and what do I want to say, revise any of the historical content of the albums, and they do a good job of putting a couple of bonus tracks and stuff on here and there. They make nice collections, and just kind of like I feel like Necroharmonic also does a good job of that. Pretty decent artwork. Bought this on Discogs. Actually found out it came from, this was formerly from the collection of Neil Jameson of Krieg. Cool band photo there. So, yeah, World Without God, Convulse, just a death metal classic. Super fucking guttural, just subterranean tuning and production that I just can't get enough of these days lately. The only thing I would say is caveat to my absolute pleasure of this album is the songwriting so far. It just doesn't really stick with me. Their songs kind of all sound the same. And they don't really work in a way that, like, say, Morbid Angel does. Like, Morbid Angel has choruses and stuff that you can sing along with, and you kind of know all the words, and you can air guitar with. This album, maybe it's just because I've only listened to it for about a couple of weeks now since I got it, and it hasn't quite, like, you know, been glued to my brain like stuff like Morbid Angel is and always has been. But yeah, maybe just a little bit less than memorable song structures and styles, I guess, but still a killer record, must have, and I'm happy to have it on CD. Next, so kind of like in my last video, I want to just kind of start peppering in just kind of stuff I've been listening to, sort of like a collection update / playlist, or just kind of whatevers. So this is just something I've been listening to, and I've always been a fucking fan of Destruction. This compiles Eternal Devastation and Mad Butcher, their finest fucking material. It was Metal Theologian's video he put up the other day, last weekend maybe, where he was showing off his, what is the album called? Release from Agony? I'm not really sure, but doesn't matter. This is the best fucking thrash band there ever will be, in my opinion. The riffing is just so inventive, so just like bordering on melodic, but almost a little bit too fierce and angry to fully indulge in being melodic. But goddamn, the production on this stuff, the riffing, it's just so fucking classic. This is just some piece of shit reissue put together by Steamhammer. I remember picking this up Metal Fest 98 maybe, and I just picked this up and I was like, huh, you know, I heard this band is good, probably hard to lose picking up something like this, and it blew my fucking mind. It's just so strange that you can picture a time where you could just reach in a bin of CDs and pick up randomly the greatest thrash album that ever will be. I miss those days when everything was pretty good. Next I've got, this is an album I've been a fan of for quite some years. It's kind of hard to see. Baptism's Grim Arts of Melancholy. Their best album, in my opinion. And I believe this is kind of where, this is the last album that came out where it was kind of a solo project. Lord Sarcophagian wrote the whole album, but had like a hired drummer play along with it. And I really miss this era of the band. Again, it's just a Northern Heritage release, so there's nothing to look at. Northern Heritage just, they put out some great albums of Finnish black metal, but I just feel like packaging-wise, their stuff is just so minimal and like barely even worth owning. There's just nothing to look at here but band logos and album cover. Anyways, the album is fantastic. It's got a ton of variety to it, and I just feel like it's its most effective incarnation of just satanic, hateful, Finnish fucking black metal. Just the perfect fucking stereotype of that style of music. I just love that fucking album to death. It's just so haunting. Definitely a headphone album, in my opinion. Next, let's see here. A couple of LPs. I bet you're just dying to look at the LPs. I used a service that I often use that you all need to know about, and I shouldn't have to repeat myself about, but it's called the Metal Detector. TheMetalDetector.com. So what I do when I'm looking for an album, but I want to pay the cheapest price, or I want to make sure I get the right version or the right format, type in the album title and the band name, and it will search through 216 different distros and list them all by format and by album. And then you can go in and choose what price you want to pay. Because basically, you know, it'll be in tons of different distros, and then you can say, okay, why is this so cheap? Go and find out why it's $3 less than Hell's Headbangers or something like that. So that is how I found out where to get this. Mugla, MGLA, whatever you want to call them, With Hearts Towards None. That site led me to Dark Horizons distro, and I got this for $15. This is a phenomenal fucking record. I've been a huge fan of it for years. Black Wax. Again, Northern Heritage, packaging-wise, Nothing to look at. So disappointing. And I don't know, is it Northern Heritage that's just saying you don't need to put any artwork in your booklet? Because I would feel like bands would want to put forth a little more effort in their packaging. But anyways, this is With Heartstorm's Done. I hope you know this album. It's fucking phenomenal. Emotive black metal. Sorry, my throat's kind of dry and I'm not used to speaking this loudly, I suppose. But phenomenal fucking album. Had to get it on vinyl because I love it so dearly. And because it was only $15. He had a couple other things in the distro I had to pick up. Like the Baptism. This was only $9 on CD. And this London debut, Fallen from Nord, was only, I think, $13. And then he had a coupon code for 10% off, so I saved about $4 there. So all in all, I got 2 LPs and a CD from Dark Horizon for about $36, which is quite a steal, I'm sure you'll fully aware. Anyways, London is a band that rose from the ashes of Armageddon, and then went on to do Leak. And then London was born. This is back in like 2005 or so. This album, though, came out in 2007 and wasn't released until 2008 on Eisenwald. Band kind of started out doing some really strange black metal, and quickly turned into more of a neo-folk project. And back in, I don't know, I guess I would say 2014 or so, called it a day, and then started, well, Andreas, who runs Nordvis Productions, started his solo project called Saiva, and his debut album is coming out on Nordvis, I think this year yet. So I don't think this is Andreas, but kind of a tongue-in-cheek style. I really like London, especially their last album. I can never remember what it's called because it's in Swedish, but great neo-folk record. So there's a lot of like acoustic sort of interluding going on with the sort of strange experimental black metal style. But I'm rambling here. We got some more work to do. Next, I've been listening to this album. It's nothing new. I've had it in my collection since, I don't know, last summer or something like that. But this band is called Melakesh. This album is their latest, called Anki, or Enki. Mesopotamian-themed black metal from originally Jerusalem, and they moved to the Netherlands after releasing an album called As Jerusalem Burns, so I imagine they got a lot of backlash for that. But this style is really unique of this band. Their riffing is, I don't know if they play in like a different sort of chord styling or what, but their albums are always based on Mesopotamian mythology, and they just kind of border on like modern thrashy black metal or something like that, but they don't really seem to borrow or reference from anything 80s sounding. It just sounds like a really nice, slick produced, modern black metal kind of thing, leaning more on the thrashy side of things, I guess, or almost maybe like speed metal. They're just really unique, and I really thought I'd recommend listening to this band, Melakesh's Enki. Saw them live a couple of years ago with Septic Flesh, which I didn't stick around for. Chrysian and Inquisition, I want to say, in Minneapolis. Great live band, and a band I listen to quite a bit because their riffing is just so unique and strange. I wish I had more like musical vocabulary or understanding to explain what is so unique about these guys, but I decided I need to dig back into their catalog and get more of their albums, because the first album actually recorded in Jerusalem. I don't really know much about what that one sounds like, but after that, when they moved to the Netherlands, they hired Proscriptor to play drums for them. Proscriptor of Absu, obviously. So they released 2 albums with Proscriptor on drums, and I love his playing. Really not much to look at, but I don't know why I'm showing you that. I love his playing, and I think I need to pick up those earlier records. This is the only thing I have by Melakesh, but I really fucking love it. Found it pretty cheap last year because I feel like a lot of people just kind of overlook Melakesh. So in my last video, maybe it was 2 videos ago, I talked about a band called Falconer, and I mentioned this band, Oten. This band started after the drummer left Dawn, and the drummer being that guy up there. And I don't know what the guitar player was doing before this band. However, if you're a fan of Falconer, you should definitely be familiar with this band. The guitar player has probably the best fucking name I've ever heard. Stefan Wienerhall. Yeah. So this is the drummer from Falconer and the guitar player from Falconer. I'm not sure who these guys are, where they came from, or where they went on to do. The only thing I've ever kind of kept me from getting into this band was the vocals. But I decided to pick up a copy of this for pretty cheap from, I think a subscriber from mine, Shane, sent me a copy of this for pretty cheap off of Discogs. So I'm happy to have King of the Distant Forest on CD. This came out on Invasion. And this came out probably back in 97. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, if you're a fan of, like, In Flames, this should definitely resonate with you. I can definitely hear some sort of, probably some influences on the guitar playing of Obsequiae and stuff of that ilk. So, Mythoton's King of the Distant Forest, please check that out. Before we get into the sweepstakes, the last album I'm going to talk about is Unausprechlichen Kulten, which translates roughly, if you follow Lovecraft, into the nameless cult. He was kind of trying to mimic Germanic translation of that nameless cult. This is a new album called Kezia Lilith Medea, and this came out on Iron Bonehead not too long ago. And Nuclear War Now Productions has this for $6, and I highly recommend picking this up. Style-wise, you could probably pretty much pigeonhole this as a black death metal record, but there's a ton of Lovecraftian influence, both on the content and the style of the music. With the album has an interesting concept, and I've been reading up on it, and I'm interested in checking out the rest of the booklet. There's a ton of shit in the booklet here. But what it basically does is it goes through a couple of different stories from Lovecraftian mythos, Mesopotamian mythology, just like the Melekash, and also the Greek Medea. And what it's doing basically is talking about how this album artwork is so fucking disgusting and killer. But basically what it's doing is pointing out how throughout the years we've used witchcraft to persecute females in different ways, and just going through this gruesome topic and illustrating how it's sort of come to fruition in our mythology, but also I guess really making you confront the stark reality of like what its application is in our society, and why we act so, I don't know, egregiously against females. So, I mean, I'm interested in learning more about what this album is trying to say, or, you know, what the through line really is. But that, so far, pretty intrigued me quite a bit. Style-wise, you can just hear tons and tons of Lovecraftian influence. This ordinarily, I guess, style-wise, would be something I would look over. And I know I've heard of this band in the past and just kind of thought nothing of them, because they just had like goats on their album covers and stuff. But for some reason, I don't know why I wound up listening to this band or how they came my way. But great stuff. They kind of do this like, almost like Angel Corpse does, kind of like this tension building through those weird harmonies. They do a lot of the like alternating between goat blasts and then like slow brooding sort of stuff, like Cathelist kind of stuff. So I don't know, highly recommend checking this kind of stuff out, especially if you would consider yourself an underling of Josh Armijo. Definitely check this out. So that is all I've gotten in this week. I've got some killer records en route as well. That brings us to our giveaway. Sons of Crom's The Black Tower. This is my copy. This is the black vinyl. Wait, no, this is the colored vinyl. I'm sorry. And I'm trying to remember. Am I giving away the color album? Yeah, sorry, this is my version of it. I talked about this when I got the CD in the other day, but the vinyl is finally out and shipped, and if you pre-ordered it, you should have it by now. This is the latest release on Bindrune and Nordbus. Comes on a beautiful sort of toothpastey green and blue. This is my copy of it. But what I'm giving away is the black vinyl version of it. Marty Worm sent me both copies of it because I'm a douchebag. And I ordered it from him. And what I like to do is, when confronted with such generosity, I guess I should say, is I like to pass it on. So what I wanted to do to celebrate 1,500 subscribers is give you this copy, this black vinyl copy of Sons of Crom's The Black Tower. Now this is only going to be of interest to you if you were stupid enough to have not already ordered it, because you need to have a copy of this. Anyways, how the sweepstakes is going to go is, what I want you to do is order something from Bindrune Recordings. Anything. He's got a couple of CDs on there for like $3, $5 even, if you want to be petty about it. But what I want you to do is order anything from Bindrune Recordings and then forward me the receipt, whether it's PayPal or whatever. Just forward me some kind of proof that you have bought something from bindrunerecordings.com and send it to me at bensmasher@gmail.com. I'll put a link down below, of course. And then I'm going to enter you into a random drawing where, if you are chosen, I will send this copy to you free of charge. Now, in the off chance that you happen to be in Europe or outside of the United States, I may hit you up about asking to pay for shipping. We'll see what shipping is going to cost. I hate to be so petty, but I don't really know what shipping on LP outside of the United States costs these days. It could be fucking outlandish. And I feel like whenever I do a giveaway like this, I'm always bit in the fucking ass by the shipping charges. But anyways, you can get a free copy of this fucking tremendous record, Sons of Crom's The Black Tower. I'm realizing now that I think I promised a full review of this album, and I have yet to deliver on it. I've been pretty busy, so I apologize in my lack of updates. I've been doing a lot of hiking, foraging for mushrooms in the woods, and it's been really awesome. So please enter my sweepstakes by buying something from bindrunerecordings.com and entering by forwarding your receipt to me, and I might send you a copy of the new Sons of Crom LP. So if you have any questions, leave them down below or send me an email, whatever you want to do. And also, I keep getting comments, I guess, on my videos about what the intro song is playing in my videos. And it's Swordmaster's Wraths of Time, from their debut EP. It's the first track. This album is fucking awesome. Check it out. I've just always loved that song, and for some reason the other day I just decided to change the music over to a song from this phenomenal EP from 1996, I think is when it came out. Whiplasher, the main dude, is Emil Nordtveit, John Nordtveit's brother, who went on to do, what's that band called? I don't know. He's doing that band with Death Stars, that's what it is. The post-Swordmaster band, and Old Omen from Dissection joined him to do Death Stars. That stuff is fucking wretched. Anyways, Swordmaster, to answer your question, that's it. Thanks for joining me. Please join my sweepstakes, and we'll see you next time.